On 16 by 9, this doctor doesn't have a license to practice medicine in Canada.
The wait time here is very little. Like, I can book you in a month if you want to.
So should he be operating on Canadian patients? And then, ever wonder why anyone would cross this on a tightrope?
There is no better feeling or bigger feeling of peace than being on that wire.
Meet the man who's got a plan to walk over water.
And so, you would end over there?
Correct.
And will you be ready?
This is the decontamination room.
When the end of the world comes.
Nuclear-proof structure is a good hedge against an uncertain future.
Here's Carolyn Jarvis.
In the medical profession, the code of conduct when it comes to doctor-patient relations is very clear. And when a doctor strays from those rules, the College of Physicians and Surgeons has a firm hand. For several months, 16 by 9 has been investigating a doctor whose license was revoked by the college in Ontario after allegations of inappropriate, even sexual behavior with patients. But as we found out when we tracked the doctor down at his new practice in Mexico, leaving Canada didn't mean he stopped treating Canadian patients. What you are watching is hidden camera footage of a meeting in Toronto. The woman on the left is Nisreen Shamus. She calls herself a patient liaison.
None of these procedures are magic.
The woman she's meeting is interested in going to Mexico for weight loss surgery.
Surgery is highly successful.
This is the doctor Shamus works for, Jacob Joffe.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm okay.
Seen here at his clinic in Mexico, once again on hidden camera.
I've been doing bariatric surgery for over 25 years.
And for most of those years, Joffe operated in Toronto.
This is what I do.
So you've done thousands of them?
Yeah, I've done.
Literally?
Yeah.
These surgeries are done to help you lose weight.
Shamus doesn't know it, but she's meeting with one of our producers, who's posing as the husband of a prospective patient we called Hannah.
I just kind of want to know what the options are.
The appeal of getting the surgery done in Mexico is the cost and the immediacy. No wait time and a fraction of the price.
For the band, it's $10,500.
Sounds like a deal, especially from a surgeon with Canadian experience. But there's something Shamus isn't telling us about Joffe, something most patients may want to know. That the reason he stopped practicing medicine in Ontario is because his license was revoked, not for incompetence, but for complaints of sexual abuse. The case was heard by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario, and the uncontested allegations are scathing. In January 2004, Joffe engaged in oral sex as well as intercourse with a female patient. 2 years earlier, with another patient, Joffe engaged in sexual activities, which occasionally occurred at the hospital for follow-up appointments. And with yet another patient, Joffe told her to keep their relationship a secret, knowing the professional consequences to him if the relationship was discovered. In all, 4 female patients came forward to the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario with similar stories: sex, in some cases, drugs, even group sex, and in a variety of places. Their home, Joffe's office, and the hospital. Joffe pled no contest. To Catherine Radcliffe, those stories of sexual abuse sounded all too familiar.
To be perfectly honest, I feel I paid $16,000 to be raped.
Catherine didn't find out about the hearing and the allegations of abuse until she called the college 3 years after Joffe operated on her.
I was totally shocked.
When Catherine chose Joffe as her physician in 2006, there wasn't a doubt in her mind. And so, by all accounts, from all of your research and your reading, he seemed like the man to be trusted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The procedure took place here at the Scarborough Hospital. According to Joffe's own notes, Catherine went back to the recovery room in good condition. But according to Catherine, that's where things took a turn.
As he and the nurse was leaving the room, he kind of came back.
Alone?
Yes, alone. And he used that time again to lift my hospital gown, and he would use that time to get his hand to go up higher, and he would touch my breasts and squeeze it and like lift it, and talked about how our health card would pay for breast augmentation once I lost the weight. And he would caress downwards to my female private area, and he grabbed my thigh and said, like, this thigh can be gone with some plastic surgery at our clinic. And he used that time while I was talking about that to let his fingers do a little walking, exploring my genital area. And he touched and caressed, and he put his finger inside of me. I just was in shock. I just kind of froze.
Catherine never did contact the police, so no criminal charges were ever laid against Joffe. She did contact the College of Physicians and Surgeons, however. Its committee was of the view that Ms. Radcliffe had suffered harm as a result of Dr. Joffe's actions. The college did not ask for a response from Joffe. What do you call what he did to you?
Sexual assault, rape. It wasn't his penis, no. It was his finger, but he still penetrated me. I consider that rape.
In addition to the hearing by the college, there was a civil case. 6 women in all came forward with allegations of sexual abuse and formed a proposed class action lawsuit against Joffe and the Scarborough Hospital. Zoran Samic was their lawyer. Tell me about the damages that these women describe.
They claimed that they had suffered emotional harm, that they had suffered depression, anxiety, related psychological sequelae.
But did these women offer you any explanation as to why they did not go to the police?
I imagine the women here felt guilty themselves, that they had somehow participated.
Because perhaps it was consensual in some cases?
They may believe that it was consent, but one would have to ask, is it really consent when it's your doctor?
In 2010, the proposed class action lawsuit was resolved and discontinued. At no time did the hospital or Joffe admit liability. But Joffe still practices medicine, now in Mexico. And according to his patient liaison back in Canada, he still treats Canadian patients.
Are there a lot of Canadians, people from Toronto, that are going down to Guadalajara to see Dr. Joffe?
Most of our patients are Canadian.
On Joffe's website, you can read testimonials from Canadians who've traveled to Mexico for the surgery. Nowhere on the website, though, does it make mention that his license back in Ontario was revoked. What you will find is an impressive list of credentials. But when 16 by 9 checked out those credentials, a number of them raised questions. Take this claim that Joffe acts as a surgeon and certified instructor for Johnson & Johnson and for Allergan. Not true, according to both companies, who say he isn't, nor has he ever been certified by them. And then there's this claim that Joffe is certified by the American Board of Surgery. Well, the board told us that his certification expired more than 5 years ago. We wanted to speak with Joffe, so we came here to Guadalajara, where he's chief surgeon at a weight loss clinic. We got him on the phone. Oh, hi, is this Dr. Joffe? And he said he'd consider our request for an interview. But only minutes after hanging up, Joffe was seen leaving work. So we followed him. Turning left. Turning left. What's the make of the car?
It's the black Ford.
Next on 16 by 9, What isn't this doctor telling his patients?
What's the wait time here?
The wait time here is very little.
Guadalajara, Mexico, a city of more than 4 million people, land of tequila and mariachi, and the place we've come looking for answers into Jacob Joffe's medical practice. For over 20 years, Joffe was a licensed surgeon in Ontario. But in 2008, that license was taken away after he pled no contest to allegations of sexually abusing 4 patients.
I'm a patient from Toronto.
In our search for information, our producer, once again posing as the husband of a prospective patient, went to see Joffe at his clinic.
What's the wait time here?
The wait time here is very little. Like, I can book you in a month if you want to.
Despite our producer saying he was from Toronto, at no point in the conversation did Joffe disclose his license was revoked in Ontario. We wanted to speak with Joffe on camera about those ethical issues.
Dr. Joffe, my name is Carolyn Jarvis.
But only minutes after getting him on the phone, we watched as he drove out of the parking lot and away from his clinic.
Where'd he go?
For 10 minutes, we followed Joffe through the streets of Guadalajara.
There he is. We're right behind him. He's pulling over.
Is that him?
Yeah, he's trying to lose us. Here he is.
After turning a corner, Joffe drove into an underground parking lot and away from view. So we tried him again on the phone an hour later.
It's Carolyn Jarvis calling from Global News.
And we had a few questions for Joffe.
You are actively recruiting Canadian patients, some of whom are in Ontario, that you have a patient coordinator in Ontario, and so there were ethical questions we thought we needed to address with you.
It doesn't have anything to do with medical issues at all.
The College of Physicians and Surgeons brought forth allegations of dishonorable conduct, professional misconduct, and sexual abuse with 4 patients, doctor, and you did not refute those allegations in any form. Why was that?
Okay, the college brought in allegations, and I did plead no contest.
Why was that?
Because I felt that I had no chance at keeping my license.
May I ask you just point blank, did you or did you not sexually abuse 4 of your patients?
I will answer that I pleaded no contest. I did plead no contest because I didn't think that I could actually be looked at as innocent at that point.
But did you or did you not do it?
I can't respond to that right now.
Why is that?
Because I rather respond, okay, if you want to, I'll come back to Canada, we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation with the proper people around.
I would
and if
welcome
you want
that.
to have that, I never actually had a chance to talk a little bit about this whole thing. You think I'm an actual monster, and I promise you we'll sit down and talk about it.
A promise from Joffe for a sit-down interview. So we set up our cameras on the agreed-upon date and waited and waited. But Joffe changed his mind. We tried to reach Joffe at his apartment in Toronto, an apartment that has him listed alongside Nazreen Shamus, the patient liaison we met with. Joffe wasn't there. So we tried Shamus, wanting to know about her relationship with Joffe.
We were made aware that perhaps you might be assisting him in sending Canadian patients down to Mexico. Is that true?
No, it's not. And you know what? You've called me to my place of work with inaccurate information.
Not true? That's not what Shamus told us when we first reached her by phone to set up a meeting.
I'm the liaison for all of out-of-Mexico patients. I used to work with him when he was working here, and now that he's working there, I still work with him.
So, no answers from Shamus. And from Joffe, after repeated requests for an interview about Catherine Radcliffe's allegations and the ethics of his current practice, we received this statement from his lawyer. The allegations are unsubstantiated, the motivations behind them are obviously highly questionable, and Dr. Joffe denies them categorically. As for the allegations made by the 4 patients and Joffe's plea of no contest, his lawyer says it does not constitute an admission by the member as to the facts or findings. It all leaves Catherine Radcliffe grappling with little explanation for what she says happened to her.
It affects every aspect, every waking second of my day.
And what did you think when this doctor was still practicing medicine, but in Mexico?
I can't believe that. That's just really, really wrong. And I feel sorry for those people because they don't know what's going to happen. And I wouldn't want what happened to me to happen to somebody else.
If you could see him today, what would you say to him?
I would say to him, why? Why'd you do that?
Despite these unanswered allegations, Jacob Joffe continues to practice medicine in Guadalajara.
Next on 16 by 9, Man on a Wire.
Life is on the wire, and everything else is just waiting.
Training for the feat of a lifetime.
Patients. But as we found out when we tracked the doctor down at his new practice in Mexico, leaving Canada didn't mean he stopped treating Canadian patients. What you are watching is hidden camera footage of a meeting in Toronto. The woman on the left is Nisreen Shamus. She calls herself a patient liaison.
None of these procedures are magic.
The woman she's meeting is interested in going to Mexico for weight loss surgery.
Surgery is highly successful.
This is the doctor Shamus works for, Jacob Joffe.
Here's Carolyn Jarvis.
In the medical profession, the code of conduct when it comes to doctor-patient relations is very clear. And when a doctor strays from those rules, the College of Physicians and Surgeons has a firm hand. For several months, 16 by 9 has been investigating a doctor whose license was revoked by the college in Ontario after allegations of inappropriate, even sexual behavior with patients.
Better feeling or bigger feeling of peace than being on that wire.
Meet the man who's got a plan to walk over water.
And so you would end over there?
Correct.
And will you be ready?
This is the decontamination room.
When the end of the world comes.
Nuclear-proof structure is a good hedge against an uncertain future.
Tonight on 16 by 9, this doctor doesn't have a license to practice medicine in Canada.
The wait time here is very little. Like, I can book you in a month if you want to.
So should he be operating on Canadian patients? And then, ever wonder why anyone would cross this on a tightrope?
There is no